Welcome to Deep Dive Conversation on Chapter 3 from our previously discussed dystopian novel Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. You shared this chapter with us, and our mission today is to unpack its key insights into the world state's methods of control and its stark contrast with the past.
Right.
We have a rich set of details here from, playtime in the gardens to conversations in the changing rooms.
And even Mustapha Mond shows up.
Exactly, a world controller. So, yeah, get ready for some aha moments as we explore the foundations of this seemingly stable society.
Well, what's fascinating right from the start, I think, is how Huxley sets up that scene. The children playing in the conditioning center gardens. You
Yeah.
get this really vivid picture, sunshine, roses, even nightingales.
Almost idyllic.
Almost, yeah. But then, bang, it's juxtaposed with this modern chrome steel tower for centrifugal bumble puppy.
So that contrast, right at the beginning, what's it telling us?
Well, it seems to show that even in childhood, nature and technology are, like, forced together in the world state.
And maybe not always harmonious.
Right. And it's not just free play, is it? Like you said, it's observed play. We see the director, the DHC, and his students watching.
Okay, so the director's commentary then. He talks about the games needing elaborate apparatus.
Yeah, he actually looks back at old games, like just using a ball or sticks, and calls it folly.
Folly. Why?
Because, he says, it didn't drive consumption. The complex gadgets in their games, that's directly linked to economic control.
Wow. So even kids' games are just part of the economic machine.
Basically, yeah. The more complicated the game, the more stuff you need to buy, the better for the economy.
It's not really about fun then, is it?
Well,
Not in the way we think of fun.
It's engineered consumption, right from the start, conditioning people to need manufactured goods. And then there's that charming little group playing the rudimentary sexual game.
Right, and the director's reaction is interesting. He's almost sentimental.
Yeah, almost wistful. Which is so different from the students who are kind of smirking, patronizing.
What does that tell us about their conditioning around sex?
Well, it shows how deep it goes. Childhood sexuality isn't just okay, it's, like, expected. A necessary step.
And the student's reaction, it's like they feel superior, like they're past that early stuff.
Exactly. And then you see the flip side, the little boy who doesn't want to join in.
Oh yeah, he gets taken away immediately.
Straight to the assistant superintendent of psychology. It shows there's zero tolerance for deviation. Any resistance, even this young, needs correcting.
So conformity isn't just encouraged, it's actively enforced psychologically.
No room for individuality there. And that leads the director to say something interesting about history.
Ah, yes, about how history sounds incredible if you're not used to it.
Right, setting up this big reveal about how the past viewed childhood erotic play.
And the students just can't believe it.
They're genuinely shocked. The idea that it was seen as abnormal, immoral, it's completely alien to them.
Their minds are just blown.
Totally. And then he mentions suppressing adolescent sexuality until people were over 20.
And they react with horror again.
Yeah.
Right, asking about the terrible results.
Yeah, it just hammers home how completely their worldview, their whole understanding of human development has been engineered. It's a total flip of past morality.
What used to be normal is now unthinkable.
Precisely. And who better to reinforce this than someone with even more authority?
Mustapha Mond. His entrance is quite dramatic.
Yeah, sudden appearance. The students are totally awestruck. You immediately get a sense of his power. One of the 10 world controllers.
He basically shuts the director down.
He does. And his opening line, blunt force.
History's bunk.
Just like that. Complete dismissal. Everything the past represented, irrelevant, even dangerous.
And the list of things he says they've brushed away, it's huge.
It really is. Ancient civilizations, Harappa, Thebes, figures like Odysseus, Job, Jesus, concepts like Athens, Rome, Jerusalem, art, philosophy.
King Lear, symphonies.
The sheer scale is staggering. It makes you think, what do they value if all that is considered junk?
It also creates a weird tension, doesn't it? Because the director was nervous about forbidden books, Bibles, poetry in Mond's own study earlier.
Exactly. So Mond dismisses history publicly, but he knows it. He controls that knowledge.
His little comment, "It's all right, director, I won't corrupt them," is so telling.
It's dripping with irony, isn't it? He knows the power of what he's keeping hidden.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The embryo store.
Ah, yeah. The constant hum, the conveyors, the load of future men and women.
It's such a stark image of manufactured life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pure industry.
Totally dehumanized. Life as a factory product. A complete departure from the viviparous mothers Mond will later scorn.
And then we follow Lenina to the girls' dressing room.
Which is the opposite of sterile, right? It's chaotic, hot baths, noise, those vibro vacuum machines.
Sensory overload, constant stimulation, no privacy.
Seems designed to prevent any kind of quiet thought, maybe. Keep everyone interacting superficially.
And that leads into the conversation between Lenina and Fanny.
Right, about Lenina being with Henry Foster for 4 months.
Which Fanny thinks is horribly bad form.
Yeah, that phrase really jumps out. It shows the intense social pressure against exclusivity.
Because everyone belongs to everyone else.
That mantra, again, it's not just a suggestion, it's like the law of their social world. Being exclusive is antisocial.
And Fanny deciding to have a pregnancy substitute early.
Even that ties back in, right? She mentions talking to Dr. Wells, but the timing seems linked to reinforcing her availability, maybe. Adhering to the norm.
Interesting point. And Lenina is shocked Fanny has nobody lined up for the evening.
It really shows the expectation of constant social and likely sexual engagement. Being alone is weird.
They also talk about all those biological interventions, syrup of corpus luteum, over in...
Yeah, it just underlines how much nature has been replaced by, well, biochemical engineering in their world. Reproduction is totally managed.
Let's go back to Mond's lesson. He really goes after the past, specifically family life.
Oh, absolutely. He paints this horrific picture of home, small, stifling, dirty, under-sterilized prison.
Full of disease and smells, he says, and the emotional side is even worse.
The psychological squalor, he calls it a rabbit hole, reeking with emotion, fictions.
Suffocating intimacies, dangerous, insane, obscene relationships. It's incredibly negative.
He wants the students to be repulsed by the very idea of family. The image of the mother brooding over her child like a cat saying, "My baby, my baby." It's meant to be disturbing.
He makes it sound like the root of all past misery.
He directly blames families, fathers, mothers, siblings for all the madness and suicide in the past, quoting our Freud, ironically.
So family isn't a source of support, it's the source of all problems.
That's the narrative, yeah. He even brings up those examples of societies without a clear concept of fatherhood to make their engineered system seem, rational by comparison.
And that line, extremes.meet. For the good reason that they were made to meet. Chilling.
It sums up the engineered nature of it all. This leads him to talk about monogamy, romance.
Things he assumes the students barely understand.
Right. He frames them as exclusiveness, a narrow channeling of impulse and energy. Dangerous stuff in their view.
Because intense feelings threaten stability. Back to the mantra.
But everyone belongs to everyone else. Always reinforcing it.
And we see that clash again with Lenina trying to defend her thing with Henry and Fanny being shocked.
It shows that even with all the conditioning, maybe some desire for deeper connection or at least preference still bubbles up, but it's immediately slapped down by the social norm.
Mond uses that analogy, the water pipe.
Yeah, pressure building up in one pipe like monogamy or intense family love is dangerous. It could burst.
Whereas their way is like, lots of little leaky taps diffusing the pressure.
Exactly. Lots of piddling little fountains, as he puts it. Spreading the impulse thinly prevents strong, destabilizing emotions.
So strong feelings equal instability, madness, misery. That's the equation.
That's what they're taught. Which brings us back to consumption and, of course, soma.
Right. Fanny tells Lenina she ought to be more promiscuous, have other men.
It's framed almost as a duty. Play the game. And Mom keeps hammering home. Stability. The primal and the ultimate need.
Everything, the conditioning, the promiscuity, the games, it's all for stability.
All roads lead to stability. Even when Lenina questions herself, just for a second, about why she isn't keener on playing the field.
Fanny shuts it down. One's got to play the game. Back to the rule.
It shows how powerful that social conditioning is. And Mon explains the psychology. Arrest and impulse. You get feelings, passion, maybe even madness.
Let's satisfy it immediately.
You get calm well-being. They're engineering out emotional struggle, making life emotionally easy.
Which leads to the director's smug little murmur.
Ford's in his flivver. All's well with the world. Perfect summary of their manufactured contentment.
But then we meet Bernard Marx, a crack in the facade.
Definitely. He overhears Henry Foster and another guy talking about Lenina.
In really objectifying terms, wonderfully pneumatic, like she's a thing.
And Bernard reacts badly. He feels anger, disgust. That immediately marks him as different. His conditioning isn't quite perfect.
He has feelings they're trying to eliminate.
Exactly. And Lenina, interestingly, is planning to go to the Savage Reservation with him.
Which shocks Fanny, right, because Bernard has this unsavory reputation.
Yeah, he doesn't like obstacle golf. He likes being alone. He doesn't fit the mold.
But Lenina defends him, calls him rather sweet.
It hints that maybe she's not entirely satisfied with the superficiality either, or maybe she just finds him intriguing because he is different.
Meanwhile, the controller's asking the students about how easy their lives are emotionally. No obstacles, no waiting for desires.
Contrasting it with the horrible emotions of the past, and at the same time, Bernard is internally fuming, wanting to hit the guys treating Lenina like meat.
He embodies the very feelings Mond is condemning. That tension is key.
It really is, and the chapter keeps layering in these justifications for the world state, often through casual remarks.
Like Henry Foster blaming Christianity for making women viviparous in the past.
Yeah, just casually rewriting history to make the past seem irrational, and then Fanny and Lenina judge Bernard based on his looks, his size.
Reinforcing the caste system, even in casual chat. Alpha, beta, gamma, it matters.
It absolutely does. And they dismiss things like liberalism because it allowed liberty to be inefficient and miserable. Sleep teaching wasn't allowed then.
Bernard internally sneers at Hypnopedia, though.
Yeah.
He knows it's just lies repeated until they seem true.
He sees through it. They also reject the idea of the old caste system because of democracy and the supposedly false notion of everyone being equal.
It's all twisted justification. And then there's that almost random-seeming list of historical disasters.
The 9 Years' War, chemical weapons, anthrax bombs, economic collapse.
It paints this picture of absolute chaos.
Precisely. To make the listener and the students think, well, yeah, world control was the only option to stop that.
And you have the conditioning messages whispering about loving new clothes. Ending is better than mending.
All reinforcing consumption and disposability. They even mention suppressing dissent violently, the simple lifers mown down, the British Museum massacre.
So force was used initially.
Yes, but Mond emphasizes the shift to the infinitely surer methods, ectogenesis, conditioning, hypnopedia. Control from the inside out.
Engineered consent, basically.
That's a good way to put it. Closing museums, blowing up monuments, suppressing books. A total war on the past.
Turning crosses into T's for R forward. Getting rid of God, the soul.
All replaced by forward technology and immediate gratification. Which brings us finally to Soma.
The ultimate tool for stability.
Seems like it. Developed specifically to provide a holiday from reality without the downsides of past drugs. Euphoric, narcotic, hallucinant.
All the pleasure, none of the pain or social disruption. It keeps everyone happy and docile.
And prevents any deep thinking or discontent. Plus, they've abolished old age, haven't they?
Right, through hormones and transfusions. No decline, no time for reflection or religion that often came with age.
No need for renunciation, retirement thinking. Just keep consuming, keep busy, take Soma if any gap appears.
Any crevice of time must be filled.
Exactly. Which leads us to that final garden scene. The director shooing kids away from Mond.
In Mond's creepy suffer little children line.
So unsettling. And then the final image. Back to the embryo store.
The conveyors moving slowly, the innumerable rubies glinting.
Yeah, the endless engineered production of life, ensuring the whole system just keeps rolling on. A very powerful closing image for the chapter.
Okay, let's try and unpack what this all means. Chapter 3 really lays the groundwork, doesn't it? It shows us this incredibly intricate web of controls holding the world state together.
Absolutely. From messing with kids' playtime and sexuality to just erasing history entirely to Soma.
It's all meticulously engineered to stop people thinking for themselves, to stop any kind of real change.
Everything serves stability. What stands out most to you from all that when you put it all together?
For me, it's the sheer completeness of the control. It's biological, psychological, social, economic. There are hardly any gaps. But the question it forces you to ask is, what's the cost? Stability's gained, sure, but what's lost?
Freedom, individuality, deep emotion, art, history, truth. Potentially everything that makes us human in the way we understand it. It definitely gives you a lot to think about regarding happiness, freedom, and yeah, the value of the past.
So here's something to maybe mull over. If a society could achieve perfect stability, eliminate suffering, eliminate struggle, but the price was eliminating deep feeling, real connection, critical thought, is that actually a good trade?
Yeah, is that engineered contentment truly desirable? And maybe, just maybe, are there subtle ways our own modern drive for comfort, for avoiding difficulty, for instant gratification, does it echo any of these world state mechanisms even slightly? Something to think about.